The other thing that I have been working on is really just getting together a good list of templates, standard operating procedures, checklists, really all of the paperwork and documentation that they need in order to successfully run their home and run their business, and really make it as easy as we can for our new members to just really step into this role and be able to be successful. I think that's one thing that I struggled with in the beginning, is not having access to ask people questions, not having access to a mentor. And I just want to be that person, learning from my mistakes, learning from everything that I've learned over the last almost 6 years now, and really be that person that can help people be successful is my goal.
Welcome to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast with your hosts, Charlie Cameron and Alex Schlow. This is your go-to show for cutting-edge insights from industry leaders in residential assisted living.
Whether you're ready to launch your own assisted living business or looking to invest in this fast-growing, high-impact sector, we are here to equip you with the tools, strategies, and confidence you need to succeed. Get ready to ride the silver tsunami and change the future of senior care. Now on to today's show.
Welcome back to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Cameron, and today's episode is a little different. Instead of interviewing an outside guest, I'm going to introduce someone that many of you have probably already seen inside the RAL Room community, Angela Burow. She has been an incredible assisted living operating resource for the RAL Room. She is now part of our team, which we are so very happy about. We were able to welcome her to the team at our Houston event officially, so that was pretty cool as well. She's not only an operator of an assisted living home and expanding into another, but she's a huge part of helping our members succeed through her work on coaching templates and operations training. So very excited to have you here today, Angela.
Yes, Charlie, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here and so excited to be part of that team as well.
I think we're getting a ton out of having you on the team, and we love seeing your face every single week on our calls. And I want to help our guests understand your assisted living journey. You're one of the original RAL Room members, but before that was the case, you were already an assisted living operator. So tell us how you even got into that. Give us the backstory as to how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess it all started. I am an occupational therapist by trade. So I was working in home health and hospice, going into assisted living facilities, going into people's homes, nursing homes. I was seeing it all and seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And my husband, he's actually a teacher, but he was doing fix and flips with real estate as well. So we had some single family homes that we were working on, some fix and flips that we were doing. And he came across this home in about 45 minutes away from where we lived. And he wanted to turn it back into a single family home. It was a 9-bed, 9-bath home. And I just was really curious as to why would somebody need a 9-bed, 9-bath home? What was the purpose behind it? I kind of went down the rabbit hole of looking into what it was previously used before, and just told them, I said, I don't think that this is going to be something that anybody is going to want to purchase for a single family. It's huge, but it has a sprinkler system. It has an elevator. There's different aspects to it that just kind of made me go down the rabbit hole and figure out what it was used for, and realize that it was a residential assisted living home. And with him being in real estate and me being an occupational therapist in home health, I just saw like a kind of a light bulb went off in my brain. And I realized that this could potentially be something that we could do. So I Googled, I was on the internet researching what I could do, looking at the codes, and just trying to figure out how to start this process. And we ended up going to a 3-day fast track course, learned that this is possible and that we could totally do this. So I think the very next day we put in an offer on that house, and we're under contract pretty quick. And that's how that journey started.
That's a wild journey, because I've never heard it that way, where it's like, I saw the house, didn't know what it was for, figured out what it was for, and then did it. Normally it's, oh, I loved one, or I used the house I lived in, or I converted a home. It's never I saw one, was curious about it, and then bought it and did it.
Yep.
So I love that. How long did it take between the time you were like, "Hey, maybe we should have this, or maybe we should buy this," to we're open, and you started taking on your first residence?
Yeah. So this all started in 2019. And I actually at the time was 9 months pregnant. I had another one who was just turning a year old. And so
So
it was a
not busy at all.
not busy at all. So we were looking at the property, we put in our letter to or our offer to intent to purchase. I want to say that it took about 6 months for our due diligence, everything to close, get our SBA loan, all of that piece of it. And then from there, it took about I would say another 9 months for the licensing process to occur. So we did some renovations in the home. It's a very mid-century modern type home. So there was floating staircases, which was not a good thing for residential.
Yeah, yeah.
We removed those. We put in regular stairs. We got the elevator back in functioning, working order, and just did some other renovations to the home. And so it took us a little bit longer in that regard. But the whole licensing process itself took about 6 months for things to get, and then we were finally open and ready to go. And right during COVID is when
I
we
was
went.
about to say, yeah. So talk to me about how filling residents and filling rooms went during the midst of COVID. What was that like?
Yeah, so it was a challenge. I do think that in some ways it was a benefit to us because really people were looking to get out of the big box facility.
Mm,
There were no visitation. People were not allowed to come in and visit in the big facilities. So that was something that we offered safe visitation to your family members. We were kind of able to use some of that marketing because we were a smaller home. We were able to allow some of that stuff within safe guidelines. And so I think in some regards, it did help us get full and
interesting.
yeah, but it was a challenge with all of the different regulations and rules and new things that were popping up every day that kind of made it more of a challenge for us as well. But I think overall it benefited us in a small home.
How long did it take to kind of get everything filled, to get all your rooms filled? And what is the current capacity?
Yes, so we are licensed for 8, and it took us about 7 months to get full. We had I was actually working a full-time job. I was working in the school as an occupational therapist at that time, and I had an administrator who was running the business, running the show. And I would say that is one area that we definitely did not focus on enough starting was the marketing and just getting our name out there and letting people know who we were and what we were doing and how we were doing things differently. So it did take, I would say, probably about one resident a month is kind of what we averaged.
Okay. Looking back, I know it's always the trauma, but what are some mistakes or setbacks or things that you look back on and wish you'd kind of known along that journey of getting the home licensed, opening it, filling all the beds? Do you have any big things you kind of want to review?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me and the biggest mistake that we made is I didn't have the right person in the right seat operating my home and being the administrator in charge. I think that she was a wonderful person. She was super kind, super nice. She had had about 30 years experience working in a big box facility. And so I think that it was just she had a lot of great ideas and a beautiful vision, but we just didn't align on a lot of things. And it was a struggle for her to kind of zoom in her operations to run a small facility. She didn't know how to necessarily know the cares that the residents needed. She didn't necessarily know how to run staffing. She was in charge of kind of some of those bigger, higher level things in a big box and wasn't able to scale
Yeah.
it down to a smaller home setting. And like I said, she was a great person, but it was just not a good fit. So I think really just having the right people in the right seats made all of the difference. And I did actually end up letting her go and taking that position on myself with probably in about I think it was about 6 months that went on for. And then I realized, you know what, I need to step into this position. This is not going to be a passive income stream for me. I need to step into this and really make sure that things are happening the way that I want them to happen because our residents weren't necessarily getting the right care. The things that I
Yeah.
really, really wanted to happen weren't happening.
It's not to say you can't find the right person, but on the other hand, being able to have that firsthand experience is invaluable, right? Because then you know how to hire, how to manage the manager, how to make sure things are being done your way. When I bought my first investment property, I bought two fourplexes right next to each other. So I had 8 apartments, and I've never owned any rental properties before. And I was the property manager. I pretended like my wife was the big bad property manager and I was just the handyman, which actually worked out pretty well. I learned a lot of things that way. But that way I learned how I wanted my tenants to be cared for. And man, there was a lot of shady stuff. I basically bought like this slumlord eightplex and actually gave them what they needed to live reasonably, like a working microwave and lights that worked, basic things that were not being done for them. Anyway, yeah, I did that for a year or two, and then I turned it over to a property manager because then I felt good about where it was, and then I knew how to manage the manager. But so I think there's something to be said for that. But if you were to go back and you couldn't have stepped in for one reason or another, how do you think you would have set your criteria to hire the right person from the start?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that I would have obviously done a little bit more. Just because she had experience doesn't mean that she was going to be a good fit. And so I think really digging in deeper to finding that person who knew the operations of a small home, and maybe they don't have a ton of experience, but maybe they were a CNA. Having some basic caregiving skills, I think in that situation would have been really helpful to to how just knowing the ins and outs of what basic care really needs, I think would have been the best thing.
Okay. No, that's really good advice. How do you go about building culture with your team throughout the home?
Yeah. I think that what I typically do, so I am very involved with my day to day now. And I think that really helps set the culture and helps set the standards for my home. My staff, I come in, they see how I am interacting with families, they see how I am interacting with the residents, and are really able to learn from that and follow my lead. And I think that really helps set the standard. I worked really closely with our new administrator as well. She actually was a CNA that was working for me at the time. And
Very cool.
I promoted her into this position. She's now a registered nurse, but I think working alongside of her and training her on that culture as well, so that she is able to carry over all of that when I'm not there, has really been the biggest benefit for us, and how I ingrain that culture into our
I
residents
love
and staff.
that. And there's got to be a component of that. And the homes that we know are doing so well, like John, right, De Los Reyes, they're very involved. And I think that's what you set the culture from the top down, right? And you being in there and demonstrating as a leader how things should go is what rubs off on other people. And of course, treating them right. What would you attribute staying fully occupied to? Like, where do most of your residents come from, and how are you doing your marketing right now?
Yeah. So we do get a lot of word of mouth residents that come from there, but I also have really great relationships with other assisted living facilities in the area. I've got a really great relationship with the nursing home in the area and in the hospital and clinic as well. So we do get a lot of referrals from them, and really good referrals. People who may not be getting quite the care, and the big box facility, they have a lot of residents and they don't have a lot of staff. So we might get somebody who is requiring some more one-on-one type cares, or they're just not able to handle them in the big box facility. They are full. They actually have I think a 5-year waiting list right now, right down the road. So they send them over to me. We do have a waiting list as well, and really are, I guess, just really using those referral relationships and just being very personal and getting to know all of the people around us. And we send referrals over to other facilities too. If we're full, we have a wait list and we know that somebody needs placement, I just have a really good working relationship and some good networking groups around the area that we are able to kind of feed each other back and forth with.
Yeah, really is a community business, right? And getting as many connections as possible is the way to really build that referral network. I love that. It seems like you have the wait list, so you want to expand. So we'll get to that here in a minute. I do have a question, and you're really big on operations and systems you use and things like that. What are some of your favorite operational systems that you use in your home that helps with daily ops?
Yeah, we have a system for everything. I think one of the biggest ones is communicate. As the owner, I don't necessarily want to be called about every single thing that happens in my home, but we really have a really good system around the communication and the communication workflow. If something were to happen where somebody needs an answer about something or has a question, we have a system that kind of flows in place so that they're filtered out, and really having that information available to our caregivers to be able to take initiative and make some of those decisions for themselves as well, I think is really important. So then not every single thing kind of flows to me. So we have a communication flow for that. And then I think just resident care as well. So just being able to have everything written out. We want our shower schedule to be written out so that everybody walks into the home and really knows what they're going to be doing on any certain day, staffing checklists, and just different everything available so they know exactly what they're walking into and they don't have to click around in our EHR or EMR to figure out what they're supposed to be doing.
Gotcha. Any particular softwares you use?
Yeah, so right now we actually use, for our EMR, we use ECP. I am in the process of transitioning to a new one, which is Alice. I also use Homebase for all of my scheduling, payroll. Those are the two big ones. Yeah.
I remember you saying you have I think it's like not a smart tool, but like a call button type tool you use. What is that?
Right now, I actually just use a very basic one off of Amazon. I think it's called Smart Caregiver, and it is just a simple pendant that calls and lets the caregiver know that somebody's needing of assistance.
Nice. Okay. I want to ask one more ops question before we talk about your expansion plan. You brought it up on our latest ops call about shifts and how long your shifts are for your caregivers. Can you talk about why you recommend 8 hours over 12 and what it looks like in your home if someone calls out?
Yeah. So this is a big question. This is a question that a lot of people have been asking in the operations calls multiple times, but I think that there definitely are benefits to both. We run 8-hour shifts. And the reason that I chose that is because if somebody were to call out, it is much easier for our caregivers to maybe stay an extra 4 hours and then the shift that's coming on to come in 4 hours early, or even just having somebody come and fill in for part of that shift really it makes it easier for them to be able to split that shift. Personally, for me, we chose 8-hour shifts because if I had to come in and cover something or fill, it was much easier for me as a mom, busy person, to come in and fill in an 8-hour shift versus a 12-hour shift. And then also within our community and in the broader community, we have a lot of staff who may work at my assisted living home, but then also work at other assisted living homes or nursing homes in the area. And really, those 8-hour shifts in my area are more common. So somebody might go do a 8-hour shift at another assisted living and then able to fill into a shift at my assisted living. The other thing that we do to help manage some of those call outs, I create a pool of on-call or PRN staff who are able to be available. And I have probably a good handful of them who maybe work another job somewhere else, but people aren't looking for a ton of hours. So they're able to pick up some of that when somebody is not available to come in for their shift.
On average, how long do you have between, hey, I'm not going to be able to make that shift to needing someone to fill that position?
Yeah. So in my policy and procedure, I have them let us know at least 4 hours in advance. That is kind of our gold standard. Now, obviously, emergencies happen, sicknesses happen, things come up. And we really take that into consideration too, and just make sure I want to be treated. If I was having an emergency, I would want to be treated with respect and with dignity, and you know that as well. So we're not going to automatically dismiss somebody in those types of situations. But I think that having that standard in place where if you're not going to make your shift, if something comes up, you need to let us know as soon as possible.
That makes sense. All right, Angela, let's talk about what's next. Tell us what you got cooking.
Yeah, so we are in the process of building a 18-bed memory care assisted living luxury memory care on our property that we currently have. So we have about 8 acres of land that we have could expand on, and we are in the process of getting the architecture piece developed, all of the basically building from the ground up, purpose built how I want it to be. And we are in the process and hopefully breaking ground in September.
Woohoo! Is this on the same lot as the existing 8-bed?
One of the biggest challenges in residential assisted living is catching small health changes before they turn into costly hospitalizations. CarePredict addresses this by using the Tempo wearable device and real time data to measure residents' daily activities, their routines, and behavior. This gives smaller homes visibility that you would not normally have. The built in predictive analytics help flag patterns early so that your team can step in days before a crisis instead of reacting later. For smaller operations, that means earlier awareness of condition changes, more consistent care, and fewer avoidable hospitalizations. It also creates clear, objective data that automatically validates the great care that you are already providing. This builds lasting trust with families. And as the market grows more competitive, offering this level of proactive safety is a practical way to differentiate your home and to stand out. See how simple it is to bring these insights into your residential assisted living home. Go to carepredict.com and book a quick demo today. Again, that is carepredict.com.
It is, yes, it is on the same lot. So it'll be about 200 feet away or so from the current building.
That's amazing. That's going to be fan. And you said memory care assisted living. How do you plan to kind of divide that up, or is it just kind of first come first serve? What's that going to look like?
Yeah, it is mostly going to be first come first serve. We right now we do memory care and assisted living together as well, and I love integrating both of those populations together. I feel like, and to be completely frank and honest, most of the people who are living in the assisted living, even if they're on, don't have any memory care issues per se. They typically tend to have some sort of cognitive impairment. It seems we have had some that are 100% intact, but I would say that we mostly leans towards memory care anyways. But I love integrating the two because those that are maybe more advanced in their dementia can kind of look around them and see and get those visual cues of what they're supposed to be doing. Maybe we're sitting down for a meal and
Yeah.
you see that their neighbor is eating, they get those visual cues of, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I am supposed to be eating as well. And so just having that person to kind of show them what to do. And some of our assisted living folks also just really love to take kind of ownership of that as well and help those in need. And everybody needs a purpose, everybody needs something to do. And I think that integrating them is sometimes just the perfect match for a lot of people too. So
That's
we will be
awesome.
doing, yeah, we will be doing the same thing with our new building as well. So assisted living and memory care, just integrated
Okay.
together.
What did you learn from the first home that impacted the design of this new build?
Yeah. So our biggest issue right now is the stairs, which I talked about earlier. We have just a small little elevator. It doesn't fit a bariatric chair. It just a standard chair has to fit inside of it. So that was my biggest thing is really creating everything all on one level so that we don't have to worry about the stairs. We don't have to worry about caregivers running up and down, burning themselves out. And it's just a lot of extra work that doesn't need to be. So that was the biggest thing. The other thing that we are building in our new home that we don't currently really have is more of just like a wellness activity type space. So, a space for activities to occur, for exercise groups to occur, just really incorporating that the fact that we want to keep our elders moving and active and cognitively engaged. I think that's some of the biggest pieces of what we're incorporating with this one.
That's very cool. So, what is the total square footage on this 18 bed
We
ish?
are just about 12,000 square feet. It's a little under.
And because our listeners always want to know, how are you financing this one?
Yes, so we are doing an SBA loan. So with the property that we have some equity built up. We are taking the equity that's in the land, equity that's we have, and rolling that over as our down payment, and then financing through the SBA.
So how many dollars out of pocket?
There's plenty. A lot of those upfront costs, like the architect,
Okay.
the
Yeah,
things,
architecture.
yeah, just the designs, all of the surveys that need to be done, the soil samples that need to be done, all of that stuff that happens prior to the loan getting approved is all coming out of pocket. So probably somewhere around 100 grand.
So the SBA is, to be clear, they're using the equity in your existing property, the existing land, and they're allowing that to basically be the down payment on the new build, which is amazing. But you still have some out-of-pocket costs. Talk to me a little bit about what those look like.
Yeah, so we are out of pocket. We have to pay for architectural designs and anything that happens prior to the loan getting funded. So architectural designs, we're doing soil borings soil testing this coming week. It probably all said and done probably will be about $100,000 that we will have to pay out of pocket, out of the business expenses in order to fund. And we can still use that as our down payment as well. So that actually gets put towards our SBA loan, towards our down payment.
Nice. Yeah, that's one of the cool things about using an SBA loan. Yes, it can be a pain in the butt, but once you get it locked in, it's cool that you can count all of those expenses towards your down payment and towards your equity. I think that's a huge benefit. Okay, so
Absolutely.
let's switch gears a little bit to the RAL Room. We were in Houston. Was it April? May? May was Houston?
It was April.
April. Angela, you have recently joined, I guess it's not recent anymore. You've joined the RAL Room team, coming on as our resident operations expert to help coach and mentor our members into learning how to operate an assisted living home. So, since you've come on, you've done a lot. Talk to us a little bit about what your role is and what you do for the membership.
Yeah, so within the membership group in the mastermind, I created, as of right now, 3 different courses, really just talking about what it is to operate your residential assisted living home. So really just diving into the basics of what's needed for the day to day, what is required for a resident assessment, what is required of your staff, of documentation, all of the licensing things. So really just giving our members a really good overview of what it is required to operate a home and to make this work. The other thing that I have been working on is really just getting together a good list of templates, standard operating procedures, checklists, really all of the paperwork and documentation that they need in order to successfully run their home and run their business, and really make it as easy as we can for our new members to just really step into this role and be able to be successful. I think that's one thing that I struggled with in the beginning, is not having access to ask people questions, not having access to a mentor. And I just want to be that person, learning from my mistakes, learning from everything that I've learned over the last almost 6 years now, and really be that person that can help people be successful is my goal. We also have operations office hours where people can come and ask questions that they have, really just get live answers. And then we have a group of operators or newly coming operators who also have pods. We work together. We work together and we ask each other questions and really just learn from each other. And I'm still learning, as well as just really trying to teach others what I have learned as well.
Yeah, one of the best ways to learn is to teach it, right? Have absolutely done that. You've embodied that by building almost, I think, 20 lessons, 20 to 30 minutes each, just on operations. So like foundations, resident care, staffing systems, all the things you need to know, the fundamentals of operating. But then, like you said, on top of that, we've got the office hours that are focused on operations where people can ask their questions. We've got the accountability pod for those that are in the operations phase now, which is super valuable. People all in the same struggles that can share their lessons learned and help each other succeed. And then the templates, like you said, like you took all of the stuff that worked for you, templatized them, handed them out to the membership. And that's a masterful list of really cool documents that people can just leverage instead of starting from zero. Can't thank you enough for everything you've done so far. And I can't wait to see all the additional things you're going to provide and how people are succeeding. I think on a daily basis, it's so cool to see how many people are posting and talking about it. We got this under contract. We just placed our first residents. And it's just been cool to see the success stories.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say the momentum in the mastermind group has just been snowballing, and people are making progress left and right. And it's so fun to see and so fun to be able to help support and build those people up and give them the support and success to be successful.
That's it. Yeah. And that's why we made the goal of the RAL Room. There's not a monetary goal. There's a goal of opening homes, opening 1,000 residential assisted living homes. I think we're on our way. Like there's a few dozen already. And we haven't even been around. I guess it'll be 2 years. The end. I guess it's 2-year anniversary right now. So congrats to us. I should post that somewhere. 2-year anniversary of the RAL Room Mastermind. Angela's one of our and it's just been really cool to see how everyone is succeeding together. And that's really what it's about. And when we started this, I certainly don't feel like an expert, and I don't claim to be. We're still all learning together. And that's the best part about a mastermind community is the community aspect. It's the people, it's the getting together. It's the learning from each other. It's the supporting each other. I just love it. This is my family now. And I think that's pretty special. So we've got another event coming up. Are you going to be there in Phoenix, do you think?
Yeah, I plan to be.
Okay, good. Me too. So the RAL Room is going to be invading Phoenix again for a second time. We'll be there in October. So if you guys want more information on that, just hit us up on theralroom.com. Angela, I'm going to do a couple little rapid fire questions. Does that work for you?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. What's an operational mistake every new owner makes?
Oh, I'm going to say really just not hiring the right people, not taking enough time in interviews to hire the right people. And I'm going off of that, not firing quick enough as well. So if you've got staff who aren't doing their job, who are sleeping on the job, who are on their phone, get rid of them right away. Don't hesitate.
Hire slow, fire fast.
Exactly. Yep.
Speaking of which, favorite interview question when hiring caregivers?
Ooh, that is a good question. I really like to ask the question in a situation. I ask a lot of situational questions. So one of them being, if you were late or what is one mistake that you've made and how did you correct it? Or what did you do when you made that mistake? So whether it be they didn't show up for a shift or they made a mistake, just really what it is and just how they respond to it and how they open up and how they are able to problem solve that situation really tells you a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And whether they're willing to own up to it, right?
Yeah.
That's a big one. A lot of people struggle with that. Okay. What's one thing an operator should look at or measure weekly, be aware of in their home?
Yeah, I think there's a few different things that I measure weekly. Your census, that's probably the biggest one, just seeing how many beds you have open. The one thing that I really like to measure as well is just our staffing. So how many shifts are filled? How many shifts are open? What wasn't covered? That's the biggest one for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. Favorite productivity habit? Doesn't have to be assisting related, but just like what's your favorite habit for being productive?
Oh boy.
That's the mom that's building a new home, that runs a home, that teaches operations in the RAL Room, that's a member of you can get it all done. Tell us how you do it.
I don't know. That is a good question. I'm one for deadlines. So I work really well under pressure. One thing that I try to do is I wake up every morning, try to get up before the kids. Moms know that never works, but I try to get up for the kids and just really have a few moments of silence to myself so I can wrap my head around my day. I use my calendar religiously, so anything and everything that happens goes right into my calendar so I don't forget.
Love that. Yeah, same here. Okay. One book that changed your thinking or that changed your life in some way.
Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki, his first one. What is that one called again?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That is the one. That it really is what changed my mind about what entrepreneurship is, really how to build a business the way that is going to just change my whole financial thought process, to be honest.
Same. If all you'd ever done before that was a W-2 or 1099, that one's like a slap in the face. Like, hey, wake up, idiot. There's more out there, right? You're like, oh yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's a good one. Gosh. Let's see here. Okay. If you could go back and talk to yourself the week before opening Home One, what would you tell yourself?
There are going to be challenges. There's going to be blood, sweat, tears, all of it. But each time something happens, you are going to learn from it. And you are just going to continue to build a better system, a better business, and really you will be successful in the end, but it is going to take a long time to get there, and there will be challenges along the way, but you will make it through.
Yeah. We talk about this a lot. Nothing about this is easy, but for the right person, it can be worth it, right? And that's what matters. And it's one of the very few places, I think, in today's day and age and the age of entrepreneurship and real estate and business, where you can combine wealth building with making an impact. It's so rare. I don't see anything that's as good on both aspects all at once. Okay. Anything that excites you about the future of residential assisted living right now?
I just love that it is becoming more mainstream. People are learning about it. People are realizing that they can also do this. The general population, you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a nurse. You don't have to have tons of healthcare experience. I think that it's going to change so many resident lives, as well as so mmany operators' lives, staff's lives. I think that is probably what I'm most excited about.
Love that. Angela, thank you for all the knowledge and the wisdom and the golden nuggets you gave us today. Thank you for all the help you provide on a daily basis inside the RAL Room Mastermind. And if folks want to learn more about Legacy Pines or connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, email probably would be the very best. It is Angela, Angela, at legacypines.org.
And if you guys want to check out her website, it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah. LegacyPinesAssistedLiving.com, right?
Yes. Yep. It actually our new website just went live the beginning of last week. So yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Well done. Well done. What'd you use for it? I actually had someone create it. I used Wix the first time I did it 5 years ago, and we had not had a refresh. So I had somebody create it, and I think it is I don't remember. I don't remember what it was called. No, it's all good. It looks gorgeous. So you hired well. Angela, thanks a lot. And I will see you in 10 minutes on our next meeting. Okay. Or in an hour. Sounds good. Thanks, Charlie. See ya. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast. We hope you found today's episode insightful. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a raving 5-star review. And a quick review helps more listeners find the show and more seniors get the exceptional care they deserve.
And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And just so you know, we have prepared some free resources for you to help you succeed in residential assisted living in addition to this podcast. Head over to theralroom.com, that is theralroom.com, to download our free 10-step guide to launch your first or next residential assisted living home, or our 10 reasons to passively invest in residential assisted living ebooks.
And if you're ready to take the next step and make real moves in the RAL industry, join us in the RAL Room Mastermind. It is an exclusive community where we deep dive into everything you need to launch and grow your own residential assisted living business. You'll get access to recorded courses, live calls with industry experts, a RAL calculator, resources and tools, like-minded entrepreneurs, funding opportunities, and an expert networking community to help you along your journey.
Be sure to join us next time on the RAL Room Podcast as we continue to explore the world of residential assisted living with more great guests. See you then.